And so the manager has this horrified look on his face. He says, "What do you call this act?" And the other guy says, "The heuristic." Oh, hi everyone. Brian here. It's time for another Q&A session here on Patreon. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions to me last time. I hope my answers were amusing to you. Again, if you're a $5 or higher patron and you've checked that you want the reward, I'll send you an email towards the end of the month and you just respond with a question you'd like me to answer. I'm happy to do it. And I think this is a fun way for me to interact with everyone, and it avoids the problem of the live cast where not everyone could join me. So let's dive right in. This is actually the last question I received. We'll answer it first. Ryan Walterson says, since there's a new Fraggle Rock series of shorts on Apple TV, do you have any favorite episodes of the original show? Well, as a kid, we had HBO, so I grew up watching Fraggle Rock. Of course, I was a big Jim Henson fan back in the day. Fraggle Rock, The Muppet Show, Sesame Street. What's the one with John Hurt on it that I made fun of on my Beast Beyond episode? The Storyteller. Thank you. That was a roundabout way to get there. Those were the Jim Henson Hour. Those were my childhood. So yes, I always liked the episodes with the Doozers, where they would follow the Doozers into their life, and there was the one little girl who didn't fit in with every other Doozer alive. She liked to do drawings and stuff, and as a kid who liked to draw, I understood. But we're all busy, we're all workers, we all build, and then she kind of meets the Doozer planner and said, once in every generation, there's someone like me born. You're a designer. So she becomes his apprentice. He becomes going to be the next Doozer architect. And I like that episode. I like this. There weren't, the trash heap the great trash heap scared the hell out of me as a kid. I was like, it was so gross. I couldn't why does that trash heap have breasts? No. Anyway, I liked all the characters: Boober, Wembley, Red, Pink One, Gobo's nephew, etc. Doc. Beyond that, I liked the episodes with the minstrels were great characters. Convincing John, whenever he showed up, that was the leader of the minstrels, and then Convincing John were the two characters that Jim Henson played on Fraggle Rock. And Mowgli decides she wants people to stop eating Doozer building, so they get Convincing John convinces everyone. He's kind of like a televangelist character. Listen to Convincing John, and all your troubles will be gone. He's gonna do it just for you. That's the song. And convinces them to stop eating, but since they're not eating the Doozers buildings anymore, the Doozers can't build new buildings, and they have to leave Fraggle Rock, and it's just destroying the whole ecosystem. So there's a whole there's a whole environmental message to that one. But those are like two I really recommend. The ones that follow the Doozers and their personal lives, and then another Doozer related one was Convincing John, and they decided to stop eating Doozer buildings because they're too beautiful. Chandler Ritter wrote me, what would you consider to be the best part or high point of the Wolfman Perez New Teen Titans? Well, I'm glad you asked that, because if you didn't, I'd have nothing to say on this video. I'm going to point you to Volume 9 of the New Teen Titans, because this has the Terror of Trigon story in it, which I think is probably the favorite story that I've read in all these volumes. It's basically wrapping up this is issues 1 through 9 of the second series of the New Teen Titans, and featuring the shattering story arc of the Terror of Trigon. I'm not really sure how many issues it was. It's about, about 80 issues down by that point. And it's the wrap-up of Raven's storyline. Essentially, if you notice Raven, she has kind of a very normal face, but it keeps getting longer and more angular as the series goes on, but it's so subtle you don't catch it happening. It's like when I first saw her, I thought, she's got such a long face, and then I see the original issue, she's like a normal face. And they explain that in that as that her body is changing into Trigon, so it's like the two sets of eyes. So her head is stretching to be more like his, and they just didn't notice it because it was so subtle over 80 issues. And Trigon shows up, she goes evil and helps Dad to take over the world. And what was unusual, this big, massive event, and it's only happening in this one comic. So in this comic, we see what's happening to the other teams, why the Outsiders, why the Justice League aren't answering it, how they're all kind of taken out, and how the Titans are the only ones left who can stand up to Trigon and Raven. Can they redeem Raven? Can they stop, essentially, the devil from taking over Earth? Because Trigon, like Mephisto, is the DC version of the devil. And it's all just going to hell. Raven's mother's involved. It's just this big, final epic battle against this gigantic demonic monster and his hellish offspring, who was one of their best friends. And it's really a great story. So Terror of Trigon is my favorite story that I've read in the new Teen Titans. I've read 10 volumes now. Volume 11 will be out in a month. But right now, that's the clincher for me. It's Terror of Trigon. Hey, Brian, I've got 2 questions for you this time. It's okay to send in more than one. I don't mind that at all. If you could meet and travel with any doctor, who would it be and why? You know, I can't keep saying Patrick Trout, but it's Patrick Trout. Giddy up! He was my favorite doctor. Always will be. I'd love to meet with him and just, if I could... As a kid, I dreamed of, you know, the doctor coming to take me away from all this. It didn't happen, but it was a wonderful dream. Just travel through time and space. Who wouldn't want to do that? And number 2, do you talk to Lewis or any of the other past contributors to, let's just say, that site? And if you do, would you like to do another crossover with any of them at some point? I just talked with Lewis the other day because he had his live stream for his 600th episode, I believe. It wasn't 300. He's been doing this for about a decade now, so he's up to 600. I have not counted my episodes. I have no idea how many I've done. I've said, like, I don't count. And they're like, I can't understand why you don't count. But he did this big live stream. I was a part of it for about an hour. We played some murder party trivia on Jackbox. I love Lewis. Lewis is like a brother to me. A distant brother. I don't see that much, but a brother nonetheless. I'd love to work with him anytime. I probably will be part of next year's anniversary radio play. I didn't do the first radio play they did because it was a horror setting, and I felt that was like a little too close to the aborted 10th anniversary Channel Awesome one that we didn't do, and I wasn't feeling it. But I told him when I saw him at Anime Midwest back in July that I'd be happy to join in this year, so that's probably going to happen. So I'm sure we'll keep doing cameos and little stupid bits like that, but I hope to keep working with these guys in the future because there's some very, very talented people, and I'm still good friends with a lot of them. Allison, Kaylin, Lewis, Nash, Tony. I consider them all friends, so I hope we keep working together. And that one was from Oliver, and finally the last one. Hello, Brian! Hope you're keeping well. I don't know why I read that like John Lovitz, but that's the way I did it. My questions are as follows. 1, I see you often posting Gundam models. Which has been your favorite to build so far? There's not much difference in the building, but my favorites, I really enjoyed the kind of different look that the Iron-Blooded Orphan models had. But my all-time favorite is going to be the Red Astray. In fact, I want to get the 1/60th Red Frame Astray. I've never done a 160. I've done 1/100s and 1/144s. But I want to do a single 160, and I would love it to be the Red Frame Astray Gundam. Because it's just such a classic design. It's like the swordsman design. It's got the red sword. I don't think he has a jetpack, but there's some other different variations of it I know out there. But the Red Frame Astray is probably my favorite because it's just a really cool looking model. I'd like to do a unicorn one at some point, but I usually I don't know the Gundam TV series. I don't know the Gundam manga series or anime. I just pick them based on whether or not I like the design. And secondly, Jealous. Keep doing Lovitz. Are you a fan of the shows? And if so, what are your favorite series or books? Oh, I assume he's mentioned this is Gundam again. No, as I just said, I'm not a fan. I just buy them at a con or online because I like the design. And I like building things. I love manual dexterity. I like drawing, Legos, models. I just like doing things with my hands. I find it very relaxing. Stay well and keep up the good work. Thank you, Andrew Hesfjord. I'm still working on that one. All right, guys, this was the Q&A for April 2020. I will be back in May. Again, only my patrons can see this video. Only my patrons at the $5 higher level can ask me a question. But keep those questions coming. I'll keep answering them. And I think we're having a fun little time here. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Brian Hayes, and I will see you next month.